Hello, all my beautiful viewers. Welcome to another episode of restoring an old Corvette C3 that hasn't ran in 20 years. In today's episode, we are going to be installing a brand new water pump. But not only that, I also compare the old water pump to the new one side by side on a table, show you all the problems that can happen with these, all the little things that people miss. We also lightly cover the radiator and the hoses. I'll show you a couple tricks with those. Also in this episode, we're gonna cover how to change your thermostat. And I mean, if you break one of these bolts, you're in a lot of trouble. So I'll show you how to not break bolts, how to clean this properly, how to make it so there's never any leaks and never any issues with that system. And trust me, people get that wrong too, so make sure you watch. Trust me, you will learn stuff from this video. I know that at the beginning of a video, it's like, oh, I know how to do this already, but give it 10 minutes. Trust me, if you're not learning stuff, then you're a class A mechanic like me. Okay, so in our situation, the rad's already removed and this whole drum thing is already removed here. But that's no problem because you can remove this stuff here without removing any of that. There is enough room. In our situation, we're getting the rad dipped because it was pretty corroded inside and the plastic cover was missing, so don't worry about that. So the first thing you want to do is loosen this bolt and this one. Just loosen them to take the tension off the belt. If you have AC, you might need to do that to the AC compressor as well. In our case, it's been removed by somebody long time ago. So the first thing you want to do is remove your heater core hoses and your bottom radiator hose so you can have that looking just like that. And also drain your coolant out of your system. Okay, once you got that loose, you got 4 bolts right there, half-inch bolts. You just want to loosen those up. I forgot to mention, I like to put a line like that before I pull anything apart so it can go back the same way. It all should be balanced separately, but just in case, I like to do that. So once you got that fan off, this just comes off too. Okay, now you just got 9/16, 2 of them on one side, and there's one there and one there on the other side. Really nothing to getting this off. It's extremely easy. I mean, it's easy. The only problem is getting the parts sometimes. They can be different sizes and stuff. I'll show you once I get it out. So there is also an alternator bracket that has to come off. Just 1 bolt there, 1 there, and there. And then that's that. Okay, we got all the bolts off, so it basically will come off now. You might have to tap it with a hammer. Okay, so now for the most important part, which people miss, is we need to pull these gaskets off with a razor blade, and then we have to compare this to the new one. All right, so I got these side by side. I mean, they're identical in every way. They're the same pump. Now, I'll tell you the problem with these sometimes. So we put a level on it, and I mean, look at that. Why is this one that much lower? See, look. It's very clear. Now, trust me, my table's even and everything's good, right? So right out of the factory, your water pump is a little bit different. And now when you put your pulley on, it's not going to line up with your crankshaft pulley. So, I mean, shims, right? Everybody's thinking, oh, you put a couple shims on, make it work. Well, here's the problem with these shims that I just got. See, the problem with the shim is it's actually bigger than the actual circle on the pump. See, like it sticks out. So now the problem is maybe I could get different shims for a different company, wait another 2 weeks for them to get here. See, another problem is when I put this in here, see, it's actually too big where it actually goes up against the sides there. Like, see, so there's actually a gap there. So, I mean, unless I put the shim on here, you know, and trace it perfectly and then shave some of this off, that would be one way to use it. But what I'm actually going to do is I got these little washers here. They're the perfect thickness. They're 1/8, so they'll make up what I need. And see, if I put these on here, see, they actually don't stick out. So if I put 4 of these on like that, So this will fit on there perfectly now. And also now with those on there, as you can see, that's perfect. Like that's right where it's supposed to be. They're the same height now. So that will work in our case. I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's funny because all these different parts we're getting, you got to check everything super, super good because they're a tiny little bit different all the time. And if you don't check, you wouldn't even notice. Okay, I'm back in the garage. I'm showing you guys this stuff because this is stuff that guys don't notice or don't realize. So all the little problems that I'm coming across, like I could easily leave this out of the video and pretend I'm the best. But I'm showing you guys this because if you watch one of these videos, you'll know what to look for. So here's another problem I'm coming across. See, so this is a little bit beveled, this edge, right? So the washer is fit, but the problem is, see, when you put the washer in here and you line it up with the hole, maybe it's hard to see, but it actually goes, you can see that rusted circle where this was originally. So it actually does lift on the corner. So I would have to use actually either smaller washers, or I would have to grind off just those corners off of these to make them work. So we're probably just gonna try to find smaller ones. Also, before we actually start messing around with shimming that, we're actually gonna put this pump on 100%, and then we'll be able to line the belt up with the pulley, so we'll know if it even needs to be shimmed. Like maybe the original one is off or something. So we're gonna put that on and start with that. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is get yourself a brand new razor blade, and you're gonna clean all the old gaskets off perfectly. All right, so once you got your gasket off, you want to take your blade flat like this, and you that way if there's anything on it, you'll catch it, right? And also there's a little chunk missing here out of the block. It should be fine, because what we're gonna do is when we put the gasket on, we're gonna push it over, make sure that it's over. See, like this, when we put it on, we'll make sure it's over all the way like that before we tighten it. So it's not like this, because then it could leak, right? So we'll put it like that. And also, since there's an issue there, it doesn't call for it, but we're actually gonna put some gasket maker, Honda Bond. This stuff is really, really good. So we're gonna put that on it just to add extra protection in that one spot. So it should be fine. So I'm gonna clean both those, show you what they look like, and we're gonna get on putting on the pump. Okay, we got those as perfect as they will get. As you can see, they're nice and clean. That should be okay. It's close, but it should be okay. So now you're gonna take some brake cleaner, great stuff, degreases things, and you're gonna spray some on a rag, and you're gonna clean those two areas super, super good, so they're 100% antifreeze and grease free. Now we need to clean these bolts so they're spotless. So we'll do that. Okay, we got these looking spotless. One more step, guys. So on the new pump, if you look super, super closely, see, this isn't perfectly smooth. There's like little grooves in it from when it was machined at the factory, see? So what you need to do, you gotta grab some 320 grit sandpaper, but it has to be on a block. You can't just do it with your thumb, because then you'll make it uneven and it'll leak. So you have to grab this, and in a nice flat kind of motion. You're not going too crazy with it, but you're getting some of the imperfections out. Okay, so that should about do it. I did about 20 seconds on each side. I mean, we're not going bananas with this, but it's super smooth. It got rid of any little unevenness that was kind of like sharp, you know what I'm saying? So got that done. So now we're gonna clean this with brake cleaner. So we got a nice light coat there and a nice light coat on the engine. Okay, let's quickly put this on. Okay, here's the problem I'm having. So I was about to put this thing on, and I noticed, see, I didn't notice when I was taking this off, but two of the bolts, like this one, look how little that's sticking out. And also another one here. So at some point, somebody changed these bolts and they put 2 short ones on. They're too short. I have to go and buy 2 bolts. They should be sticking out that much, not like that. That can strip the inside of there and like ruin it. So unfortunately, I gotta go to R&R and buy 2 bolts, and I'm gonna have to scrape all this off and do that again. Okay, as annoying as that whole situation is, I'm gonna leave it in the video because these are the struggles of life. So unfortunately, I actually only had 1 extra bolt. I didn't have 2. So basically now I have to go get new gaskets because these are ruined. And I gotta go to like a bolt store and buy 2 bolts. And then I gotta clean all this off on there and on the car and do it all again with the right bolts. Let me just show you quickly one more time. I mean, a bolt for it to grip tight, it can't stick out that little bit. It's just not enough. It's holding by 2 threads. It has to stick out, you know, a decent amount like that. So I'm doing the right thing and fixing this properly. I didn't just put it on and pretend I didn't notice. I'm doing it right. And yes, on the original pump, it was doing the exact same thing. And I mean, it cannot hang on 2 little threads like that. You're gonna strip something. So gotta go get new ones. Okay, we're back from the store. We got 2 new gaskets and we got 2 longer bolts. So they're a little bit too long. So we'll just put like 2 washers of this kind, and same in this one, and that should be good. And I also measured the lengths in there, so I know it'll be good. Okay, now we're gonna re-clean everything, get all this stuff off, make it all nice and clean, and then put it back on and put it together. All right, we got our gaskets on. Everything's siliconed up. The right size bolts now. Let's screw this in. All right. Okay, so I mean, that's on there perfect. No problems. There's still a few things we gotta do. But here's the thing. So I ended up putting this pulley on. No shims at all. And you know what? I mean, it's hard to see on camera, but it is actually exactly where it's supposed to be with no shims at all. So maybe that old one came out a little bit. So in the end, we're not gonna even need any shims at all. Anyways, I'll show you what we're doing next. All right, so this is a little off topic, but our belt for the power steering is super loose. So we'll tighten that really quick. And then what we gotta do is we're gonna change this connector for the hose. And we're also gonna add one right here. I'll show you how to do that and what sizes those have to be. Okay, we got that belt on tight, and I mean, it was completely loose. The bolt for the tightening was completely loose. Like, so I tightened it and it's good now. Okay, so now moving on to this. So for here, you're gonna need to buy these, and they don't come with the pump, so you gotta get them. That's what they look like. So this is a 3/4 hose size. So that's the one that goes on the pump right there. So you're gonna get a hose that's 3/8 that goes to your heater core. And your top one is a 5/8 hose, which also goes to your heater core. And there's a 5/8 adaptation there. And that goes right over here. So we'll put a new one on that and a new one on there. In order to put those on, you're gonna need some of this stuff. Basically, it's like a thread sealer. So you tighten it with this on the threads, and then that way it won't leak ever. Antifreeze. Good stuff, buy it. So you just put it on like this. It's almost like Teflon tape in a liquid form, only better. So I even like to put a little bit into the thread too, so it for sure gets in there good. All right, now you just screw that in. No big deal. All right. Okay, so you know what? I decided to leave this alone. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. I'm gonna clean this with some sandpaper and leave it alone. It's stuck in there pretty good. I would hate to crack this or something like that. So we're just gonna leave it. So there's one more thing that I forgot about, guys. Right here, I forgot to put the bracket on for the alternator. So I'll do that right now really quick. All right, we got that bracket on, my bad. So now we're gonna put this pulley on and the fan on top of it. So you just tighten it a bit and then you spin it. Tighten it a bit and then you spin it. Tighten it a bit and then you spin it. And you basically keep going around like that till they're on super, super tight. Okay, so when I put this bracket on, what I didn't realize is the bracket would actually make this bolt even shorter. So I actually put a longer bolt there as well. I did have one, so that's what I did there. So I got long bolts everywhere now, brackets installed. Okay, so we got this installed nice. The belts are super, super straight. Hard to see on camera, but everything's working out great. So the only thing we got left is we got to put that white sealant stuff on this, and that just goes in here. And you tighten that tight with an Allen wrench. Okay, so let's move on right now. We're quickly gonna change the thermostat. So that is located right on top of the motor here, and you got 1 and 2 bolts, pretty straightforward. So we're gonna loosen those. Okay, so this bolt is loosening no problem. This one is extremely tight. Like, I'm actually worried it's gonna break. So I'll show you what to do if that happens. So what you gotta do is you gotta loosen it a tiny bit like this, and then you go back. And then you go back, and you just keep doing that, and each time you go a little bit more, and that'll prevent it from breaking. So as you can see, every time it goes a little bit more. And I'm telling you right now, I've got a good feeling for this. This bolt, if somebody just wanked on it with all might, it would have broke. And there we go. Okay, so that's off. And I mean, I could tell right here that this was probably leaking. And this car was super low on antifreeze when it came here. So what we're gonna do with this is we gotta unscrew these, get a little file, clean everything up in there, and then with a razor blade, we're gonna peel this off, clean everything, and then we're gonna grab our sanding block. It has to be a block, and we're gonna give it a light sand just like we did with the water pump, no big deal. And I'll show you what to do on the motor. So on the motor here, remember the direction of the, like which side's up on this, and that just comes right out. So we're gonna do the same thing. Like, look at all that, yuck. So we're gonna clean all that up with a shop vac best we can, clean the surface, pretty much same as the other one there, and put in a new thermostat. And once we got this thing running, we're gonna flush out the system. I'll do an episode on that, and have nice clean system circulating this. We got the rad back from the shop. It's nice and clean, got it dipped and cleaned, all new hoses, new heater core, all new fluids, new thermostat going in, new water pumps. So there's gonna be a little bit of that brown gunk still stuck in the engine. So we'll clean that out once the car is running, which should be soon. All right, I'm gonna get back to her. So as you can see, that's getting pretty good, just with the razor blade. So now we're gonna get our sanding block here and evenly with the block. Nothing too crazy, but it's gotta be smooth and clean. Okay, so that's looking perfect. It's smooth perfectly. So I mean, normally you would take a garden hose even and flush that out, and the water would just come out, you know, right there. But like I said, we are in Canada and our hose is frozen. So I decided what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna wait till tomorrow so all this can dry good before it gets any kind of fluid on it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some antifreeze down here, and I'm just gonna put a bucket underneath so at least it gets just a little bit of a flush. I can't even put water in because then at nighttime it could get like -10 in here, Celsius, and it could freeze and crack the block. So I can't even risk water at all. I mean, it's warm in here now, but at nighttime it gets really, really cold here. So that's what we're gonna do with that, just so everybody's happy and understands why I'm not flushing it out. Okay, and I'll show you what we're doing with the cap now for the heater core. So we got these bolts out, and I mean, they were stuck in there from all the corrosion. So we're gonna get a round file and just clean the inside of those holes so these go in nice. We're gonna clean these with just a wire brush like this. So as you can see, that worked super good. So now we're gonna take some of this heavy duty bearing grease and we're gonna put it over the threads like this. So it's all nice and greased up, right? So now back at the motor with this nice clean bolt, we're actually gonna screw it in and screw it out a few times to get these holes nice and clean and perfect so there's no issue. So we'll screw it all the way in, all the way out. We'll do both of them, grease it up. Might have to do it like 3 times until it's going in super easy. Okay, so we did exactly what I said we would do. And I mean, look at that. It goes in with your fingers now. No problem. Both holes. And I put the shop vac in there and sucked that out a bit. There really isn't much in there. It is what it is. Okay, I'm just about to clean this. So see this new gasket here? So what somebody did when they put a gasket on this, like whenever, they didn't take this white sticker part off. See? They just put it on with it. So I mean, that's definitely not supposed to be on there. So you take this off and then that goes on to there. So where your hose is gonna go, you wanna get some sandpaper. You wanna clean all that, get all the corrosion off of it. So it's nice and clean. For the hose, a round file or a carbide tip like this. See, so now the bolts just go right in. They're not rubbing up against anything. Okay, then we get our sanding block, 320 grit. Okay, that's what that should look like. It's super smooth. It feels good. There is one little gouge here, but it's pretty much gone now that I sanded all this nice and flat. So what we're gonna do is, when we install this tomorrow, we're gonna put the sticky side towards the motor and that side towards there. And since there is a tiny little gouge, we are gonna use the Honda bond again, just around there, just to keep it nice and fresh. And that should be good to go. I mean, you could use other gasket stuff, but this is good. This works pretty much for everything. All right, it's the next day now. We're gonna continue. So we ran some fluid through that hole there, and I mean, only fluid came out, so it's good enough. We're gonna put the thermostat back in. Okay, we got our new thermostat. It's a little bit lower or whatever, but it is the same. So this side goes up, the spring goes down. So what we're gonna do now is clean the housing and the engine part with some brake cleaner and a rag, and we're gonna put it all together. Okay, everything is nice and clean, so we drop this in like that. We pull off our sticker material here. All right, and we just stick that on. Okay, so now on this side, and I mean, like I said, it doesn't call for this stuff, but just because of that one little imperfection, we're gonna put it on this side of the housing, no problem. It won't do anything bad to it anyways. And then you just spread it with your finger, nice and even. So the last thing we're gonna do is take these bolts and just grease them up one more time. So the problem that we had, somebody else isn't gonna have 20 years from now. Also, I don't like how little this one screw sticks out, so I'm gonna run it without that washer. I don't know if that washer was originally there, but to me that looks a lot better, and now they're both the same. So I'm gonna keep the washer on that one, but not on that one. Okay, that looks beautiful. Okay, so now we did take the other washer out too. So now I'm gonna take you a few days back and I'll show you why we took the radiator out. And then after I show you that, I'll show you all the steps of putting the radiator in. See, the reason I'm doing it this way is because people usually take stuff out and then they have a hard time putting it back together, and that's when they watch the video. So I figured I'll do it a little bit backwards. I'll just show the reinstallation of it, not the removal of it, but I'll show you why I took it out. Okay, so I just drained the coolant system and I gotta show you guys this. Okay, so this radiator was apparently re-cored, but I'm not 100% sure what happened with this radiator, but as you can see inside, it is full of crap. Okay, let me just show you. All right, let me just stick my finger there and give it a little wipe. See that? So to me, that looks like somebody had some kind of antifreeze leak, and in order to fix it, they started putting additives in, additives that seal the leak. Well, you see what those additives do. So anyways, this radiator is gonna have to come out and it's gonna have to go into a radiator shop. They're gonna dip it, clean it out, pressure test it, and give it back to us. It's not expensive to do that. I'll let you know exactly how much once we get it back. All right, so we got our radiator back. It only ended up costing $100. So they dipped it, cleaned it, and even painted it for us. I'll show you what it looks like inside now. So there it is. And I mean, that is 100 times better. I'm gonna say it's basically perfect. There's nothing on the sidewalls. I mean, it is the way it is. When I stick my finger in it now, there's absolutely nothing. And I mean, yes, we could get an aluminum radiator and do this and that, but you guys gotta remember, this car hasn't ran in 20 years, so we're not gonna sit there and start upgrading things and getting aftermarket parts on it when it's not even running yet. So that radiator is good now. We're gonna put it in. We can, get the car running, drive it all summer, and then decide if maybe we wanna upgrade to aluminum radiator with electric fans and that. And I'll definitely do an episode on that if I end up doing that. But for now, I mean, the smart thing to do is just to run that radiator. Plus it was only $100, done locally, got it back just like that. Also, we got brand new hoses, bottom hose, top hose. Here's the part numbers. Okay, let's begin this radiator install. So it's pretty easy. So the first thing you gotta do is see right here, you got these rubber things. So you just have to make sure that those are there. So there's one there, one on the other side, see? So those can't be missing. If you're missing those, you're gonna have to buy new ones. So basically the radiator just sits in those. Okay, so I mean, that was pretty easy. So now see on these rubber things, see these just slide in there like that on both sides. You wanna make sure that those are right in there. And then for the top, so you got this type of bracket. So this rubber thing, like this will just go like that, obviously. On the inside, pretty straightforward. The bolts go on the outside, and you want that rubber thing right here on these. So I'm gonna put those on right now. As you can see, there's really nothing to it. Okay, so that's in there good. It's not moving. We are missing the plastic piece, so we're not gonna worry about that for now. So now we're gonna install these new hoses, and we're gonna attach the transmission lines here, the top one and the bottom one over there, because our car is automatic, so it has those. If you have manual transmission, you wouldn't have those. Okay, so I got the transmission lines connected. So now with this main hose here at the bottom, see, the problem I'm having is it's kind of like when I put it on, it's kind of kinking here like this. So we're gonna cut some of this off. I actually noticed this one is a little bit longer than the original one. And I mean, my mistake, I should have put them on top of each other and checked. And I forgot to, but now I don't want to pull it off because it's on at the bottom super good. So my pain is your reward. Okay, so in the end, I did have to pull it out. So I did cut it, see? I cut that much off of it. So now it should fit in there perfectly. So as you can see, like even something like a hose can even take 45 minutes sometimes because of stupid little problems like that. But it's all good. Let's continue. And I'm having such a hard time sliding this in. And I put a little bit of Vaseline on it, so now it's slippery. It'll easily go on and off. It'll make things way easier. Little trick. All right, so as you can see, that is all installed. Don't worry, we're not gonna forget about that. So make sure you tune in to the next episode, because after 20 years, we're gonna be starting this car very soon. Okay, so in our next episode, we take out the heater core, we work on the heater box. There's actually basically 3 heater boxes in here. There's one on the inside here. There's one in there, which I describe every single little aspect of it. And there's a third one out here as well, and the blower motor. All of that will be covered in the next episode. Every single little blend door, how to get things working, how things work, what things do. So make sure you subscribe and tune in to our next episode where we work on the heater box system and the heater core. And I also come across so many problems in that episode, and it's all in the video. And I even describe the infamous aluminum heater core that you buy at regular stores that doesn't fit, and I explain where to get the proper one. I show all the measurements of that. So anyways, thanks for watching. Now you know how to do a water pump and a thermostat properly. Thanks again. Have a good day.